What's fascinating about the culture is how grown men have been gaslit into reducing their value as men. And this is why global travel is so important. So that men that have been groomed in this gynocentric environment, could understand their value. And the things that they're looking at has only been boosted by feminism, by systematic programming, by government empowerment. But when you talk about real value in nature, in terms of building families, building communities, providing peace, providing harmony, there's just no value that you can extract from some of these specimens that I see on these panels, having all these conversations with these guys. Even like I look at my brother Shannon Sharp here, who's talking to Dr. Cheyenne Bryan. If you took Dr. Cheyenne Bryan in America, especially in the black community, the guys would look at her like, she's sexy, she's, whatever, boosting her up. So what she's doing is gaslighting value to a bunch of thirsty dudes. That woman is past 35 geriatric pregnancy, and she's basically a senior citizen. I'm old, but I'm a man. It doesn't matter. I can still go and impregnate a village. That's a senior citizen. I'm not picking on her because there's a whole bunch of these leftover women out here grooming men. I see them on panels all day long, looking for attention, lecturing men. And I understand men have to have views. You want views and stuff. But most of this molded meatloaf is past its expiration date. But it's only the men that give it value, because of the environment that we're currently in, where social status gives certain individuals a voice, and they're going to use that voice to groom the population about how they should value what a real man is, and how we should value Shengnu women. Heavily pounded out, viciously and vigorously pounded out Shengnu women, leftover women, which is what they would be called in the marriage market in, Shengnu province or whatever that is in China. If you would have took Dr. Cheyenne Bryan down to the marriage market down there in China, see, the Chinese men are indiscriminate. And it's not even the men that are going to get her. It's the old ladies, because they are pragmatic, and they measure things for marriage and family. And the women are like that too. They look at economic status, matches, and whatever else, because they look at marriage as procreation, long-term success, protection of wealth, generation of wealth, and whatever. It's very pragmatic, not this emotional thing that is sold to men and women in the West. I digress from that. But if you took her down there, they would just turn their back on her. You know why? Because that milk is expired. All the years of these women have been out here enjoying sexual liberation, many of them and from the time period they in high school, when graduate high school, until the time period they're in their mid to late 20s. What is left for marriage and family and relationship? Even worse, the ones that have been married before. You should only have one marriage in your lifetime. Getting married 2 times, 3 times, it should be enough. It should be illegal. I'll get married 1 time. I shouldn't be allowed to have another one. It should be illegal. Because what happens is people, you create an environment for monkey branches, especially with social media for women, where they get with certain types of individuals that they would not, because after they've, mismanaged their youth, they look for security. And security is usually that guy, that Boyce Watkins, Russell Wilson type guy that they try to get with and secure the future, but they will never, ever, ever, ever think about dating if they were 22. And that's what's happening in this system, because we have a system of low self-esteem and scarcity, and we live in a gynocentric environment where we have boosted the value of leftover women. So the young men, I encourage the young men to get out here and do some global travel. Go see the world. Move around. Not from the purpose of going out here and running into women or any of that stuff like that. To see your value as a man, to see value, to see what beautiful women look like that haven't been ran through, where men are respected in certain environments, where you're not sitting in a situation where people are trying to gaslight you on value, where people are honest. When you're fat, they say you're fat. When you're jacked up, they call you jacked up on what you are. They say what you are, and there's nothing that people can do to gaslight value. Because the reality of those environments is that those individuals are not government empowered, government supported, corporate sponsored. Because survival is about family. Survival is about relationships. So there is an exchange that go on, this fair exchange going on. And I've said it before on this channel many times. The male lion cannot tame a hyena. They only understand one relationship structure. That is, men in a position of servitude. You serve the queen. That's all they understand. They have no intention to offer you long-term value. And even when I see these men on these panels and trying to talk to these women who are only there for attention and grooming, the women are just basically lecturing them, or they're there for disruption and irritation because they don't like the fact that you have the audacity to challenge the matriarchal queens and talk about them and demand any type of balance and fairness in the environment. Because we already know how the hyena kingdom works. The men are lower class, and they basically have to submit to the will of the women. They're lower ranking, and even the newborn female is higher ranking than the senior male. They're not interested in talking to you about what you deserve. Have a conversation about what men should be getting in a relationship and see how quickly you be called a misogynist, primitive, because there's only a one-sided equation. And what happens when men do the calculation, smart men with self-esteem, do the calculation, do the mathematics on it, they be like, kick rocks. What? Are you crazy? You want to charge me the price of marriage? Mook mook hit. You know, bam bam hit. Quictavious hit. The white dude around the corner that's, works at Walmart, he hit. Everybody hit. And now that's being marketing to you as marriage material. Try that shit in that marriage market down there in China. See what happens to their ass. They'll be like, get out of here. You lived with a man before? Absolutely not. You've done this? You had a baby? What? Get out of here. Kick rocks. We have an environment of low self-esteem. And that's what I talk about on this channel. It's completely utter trash can dating experience for the men in the West, because you're getting everything. You're using another man's used mouthwash. It's like one man is using the mouthwash, spitting it back in the bottle, closing it up and handing it to your ass. And how is that a celebration of value? And we have all these guys walking around reinforcing delusion, selling hope. You see a guy like Klay Thompson dating Meg Thee Stallion. That represents hope. All they need to see is one sucker sim, and their self-esteem is go up like this, boost to the top, and say, oh, well, if they can get it, I can get it too. So every 304 in Chicken Head is inspired by the mediocrity of certain men that are famous. Most of them are industry plants. Half of them are just, obviously they have some issues with their own self-esteem and self-worth, because they'll allow 304s in their midst. Because I guess that's what they're surrounded with anyhow. But at the end of the day, a lot of things can be solved by men understanding their value, getting out of their bubble, seeing the world, and working on themselves and developing their own mindset, mentality, and their own self-esteem. And that's when you're going to realize what you should not be consuming if you see something else. Because if you listen to the culture, you listen to some of these guys that are cucks, that are simps, that will take anything that comes in front of them, all you're going to end up with is a whole bunch of L's. And that's what the problem is with the culture, is that it's indoctrination, mind programming. And that's why I always talk about the dudes, they need to upgrade their program. And I use the Matrix. And they're operating on these old systems of the 1930s and 1920s and whatever. The game has changed. That's not the operating system that you need to be operating on. Dealing with today's modern women. and dealing with life in general in this modern world. And I understand that there's systems and government in place that don't like men like me having these conversations. So sooner or later, they're going to get me. And already know that's just what it is, because I'm focusing on the virus itself, which is men's self-esteem and how they view themselves. I'm not trying to tell men that they should be better for worse. Game yourself into some old, used, worn out, Shengnu, leftover, pre-owned box. That's about the most wasted. Why is your self-esteem, why would a man's self-esteem be so low that he think he has to play mind games with birds, chicken heads? You go in the park and play mind games with pigeons, there's something wrong with you. Leverage option self-esteem is what you need. And in a visual inspection of your options globally, there's billions of people on this earth. What the hell are you doing wasting your time trying to negotiate with chicken heads, especially on panel? My brother Kevin Samuels tried that shit. Look what happened to his ass. He ended up in the grave. So that's what you see going on with the culture today and what needs to be corrected. And only men can change this. They're not going to change the laws. They're not going to change anything. So you're going to have to find a way to live life on your own terms. Because again, there is no solution. There's only trade-offs. And unless you're proactive as a man in protecting your life, protecting your peace, protecting your harmony in life, nobody's going to give a rat's ass about you, man. Who cares about you? They don't care about you. If you in the house with one of these insufferable broads and you're getting torched, what do you think are your options other than getting rid of her ass? Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that nonsense. So anyhow, you have to make decisions that's best for you. Because what is their intention is to turn you into some groomed, self-sacrificing, disposable tampon is what they want you to be. Consuming all of this old leftover women and with like pride and then look at her. I got her. She's fine. Take her down to the marriage market down there and see what happens. See what they would offer her. It wouldn't be no marriage and no long-term relationship. Them old ladies is rough down there. Gotta watch that, man. I gotta do a live stream on that. Really, because guys really overvalue a lot of women that wouldn't even be considered eligible for relationships in many cultures. But anyhow, it's time for me to get up, get my day started. Peace and blessings to you guys. We'll talk soon. Make sure you hit the like button. I'm out.